Hello, I'm Sora Luxon, and this is Lesson 6, Sigils. The word sigil is actually just a shortening of the Latin word for seal and can refer to almost any symbol used in magic for various forms and various things. They're pictures of all sorts of things: words, calendar dates, full sentences, planets, and or zodiac attributes, entity titles. They can be used within ceremonies or on ritualistic tools. Nearly anything you can think of can be symbolically represented with a sigil, because that's what a sigil is: a created visual symbol of representing what a witch or warlock or magician or priest or what have you, whatever they desire to invoke, evoke, attain, guard against, make happen, cease to make happen. Sigils can be used for all of that. Whatever outcome is wanted, a sigil can be created for it. In Hermetic high magics, sigils are historically and modernly used to summon angels and demons within the context of a larger ceremony, or they're used to allow the magician to exert and maintain binding control over entities when working with them, or to describe certain planetary or elemental attributes or aspects to a defined space that the magician is seeking to work with. It's complicated, and we'll save all that for later. In the practice of chaos magic, which is far more commonly modern and public, sigils have become far more approachable and are simple for a beginner to use as something that can be made by an individual safely without a magical backlash, as long as you're paying attention and doing it correctly, and then nearly immediately charged and set into action to fulfill any need that you might choose. This simpler and more widely used form of sigils is the one I'm going to be showing you here. Rule number 1, be specific. Always be specific in your intent with any kind of magic. Mentally, verbally, your body language. Be specific in your intent. Words have power. Words are ideas. Ideas are things. Things have power. So words are power and powerful. Spelling is literally to spell. Most people overlook that correlation because of how obvious it is. And that's what you're going to be doing here: spell work. Sigil crafting, charging, and conveyance is spell work. Never use passive or negation phrasing unless you are willfully intending a passive or negative effect. That is, using phrasing such as I want, I wish, I need, I hope. Those types of semi-questioning, lack acknowledgement, whiny almost sort of comments, they're going to set an intention to supply you with a continuous want, need, or wish. So unless you want that for universal cyclical energy to give you continual reasons to want and wish and hope for things that you lack, don't say it. Don't think it. Don't spell it. And for your own sake, do not sigil it. If you craft a sigil, like, for instance, I want money, what you are saying to the forces that be is, I lack, I acknowledge my lack and reaffirm it. I have a want. Here is my want. Acknowledge and reaffirm my want. Keep me wanting. I don't want to put an end to this want. This is my want. That is what you're saying when you say, I want money. And so, no money is going to enter your life. It will give you what you cast for. That is what a sigil does. So a casting of I want money will give you a wanting of money. In order to avoid backlash or unforeseen consequences like that in magical work, be focused, be direct, pay attention to what you're doing, and be powerful. Convey the authority that dwells within you into your magic. You cannot be a shrinking violet in occult magic and have it work. If you try working with magic from that mental state, it'll just simply accomplish nothing. Say and intend what you mean directly and specifically. Say it as if it's already happened and you're in the moment of its happening and experiencing it. How sigil magic works has a great deal to do with the circumventing of the conscious mind, whose patterns and habits are difficult to change, and attaining instead this sort of sneaky direct access to the subconscious mind, which is happy to immediately take in anything and imprint its reality. The energy of a sigil is being cast on and flowing through far less dense planes, including your own subconscious plane, which is part of what makes them work so quickly and well. They communicate themselves despite barriers of all kinds by slipping in under the conscious radar. If you aren't magical, you could think of it as how logos work. Company branding logos, literally logo, the Latin word, are symbols masking messages that gain access directly to the subconscious and function without the viewer ever having to consciously agree to that information that they're taking in. Making a sigil to use for yourself on yourself is just like that, except far more powerful. You'll be bypassing the work of having to convince yourself of anything and making your intent take realized form. Magic is all about energy, and that energy is going to do what you tell it to do. Sigils are one way to make energy move where and how you want it to. I'll do an intent sigil of I am wealthy for you as an example. Keep in mind here that there are many kinds of wealth. It could call in wealth of love. It could call in a wealth of knowledge, a wealth of finance, or some other resource. I am wealthy is something I'm choosing that wording on purpose for this example specifically because I've used it before. And it holds such an authentically self and other appreciative positive charge that's going to leave the intender open to taking in the wealth that they have in their lives. So it's sort of safe for anyone to try, and I can show it to you publicly. There's nothing wrong with being wealthy and acknowledging it and having that to then share with others in any format. I know a lot of people run into that problem with money magic. So go ahead and recognize that it's okay to be wealthy and to say, I am wealthy, and to use wealth magic in your life. First, we write it out. I am wealthy. Then remove the vowels. Then we remove any repeated letters. M and W count as a repeated letter because they are the same symbol flipped on a vertical axis, the way a lowercase b and d would be the same letter flipped on a horizontal axis. So that can get removed. Then we're going to combine the letters that are left over from our intention sentence into a single symbol. How you do this is really up to the user. Every magician and witch has their own style, their own signature to their sigil work. Do what feels right to you, where you can take advantage of lines that are already in the image that can be shared to add in other letters. Go ahead and do that. It'll make your sigil work more succinct. I like to finish my sigils off symmetrically. I find them easier to charge when they form a symmetrical whole visually for me to impress. I'm also going to add in American currency emblems here because of the nature of the sigil's intent. See, that's the sort of thing you can do when crafting your own sigils. You could use green paper, for instance, here, or green ink. That would also add another layer of the intent of wealth to the mental imagery you're trying to work into your sigil. Add in and do whatever feels right to you. The idea is to get the point of the intention as fully and directly into the image that you're creating as possible. Because of my hermetic background, I can't write sigils without wanting to add the corresponding planetary dominion and give it another source to draw on. But that isn't necessary if you don't want to get into that sort of thing. You don't need a Jupiter symbol here. Sigils work just fine in both basic and more advanced formats. Some magicians even sign their sigils, thereby instilling other authority and constraint to them by the laws of consent and contract. But that also isn't necessary for you to start using them, and I can get into the details of that in a later video as well. For now, this is enough. Your intention, crafted visually into an image, consecrated and contained by a circle. Always circle your sigil. Always. Look at it and really focus on the intention now. Visualize the intention as if it's happening to you explicitly and in as much detail as you can possibly imagine. Try to engage all your senses in this imagined visualization. It's a scenario in your mind where you're seeing it and it's happening and has already happened to you. What you're trying to do is you want to feel every emotion and sense and everything you can in your body and mind. Live the intention as if it's real. Whatever intention you've chose to make this sigil for, live it as if it's real and happening to you as you focus on your sigil. You're going to want to hit a climax. This is called charging, and that's what you're doing. Charging the sigil. And when you have charged it, you'll know. There will be a sign and it will be clear to you. There are multiple methods of sigil charging, and you can research them if you choose to. A lot are online. Some of them work better for others. A well-trained adept can achieve energetic state climax and charge sigils by mental focus alone. And you can too with practice. Now set it aside and make 4 or 5 others with other intentions. Charge those and then mix them all up and put them in a closet or a drawer or somewhere that's out of sight and out of mind for a few days. For sigils to work properly, you need to completely forget what they are and what message was on what symbol, which one went to which. If possible, try to forget what you intended as you were crafting them completely. Just try to forget everything that you can. They really do work best that way. It has to do with allowing your conscious mind to release the intention for it to start to move and take effect. Once you've forgotten what the sigils are, or at the very least, which circled picture symbol connects to which intention that you made a big grouping of different sigils for, which is why I say make a few at a time, because that can help. Then they're going to need to be destroyed once you've forgotten what they are. The destruction is what allows them to be released and work. Now, this was taught to me as the conveyance. So it's craft, charge, convey, the 3 C's of sigils. The destruction and energetic conveyance to set the sigils that you've crafted and then charged magically into motion can be done in a few different ways. I burn mine in a consecrated vessel intended for that purpose because of how I was trained. But I know other magicians and witches and warlocks who rip theirs up in a lovely elaborate fashion and cast them on the wind, sometimes with ritual words, or individuals who have a special short burial ceremony and they bury their sigils underground under the earth where natural decay and destruction can take its course on them. Whichever you choose to do is fine. I've seen all 3 methods work really well. So that's the basics of how you make and use chaos type magic sigils. Until next time.